What's up, everybody? How's it going? Oh man, I'm back live again on a this lovely Friday night for me. I believe Sunday morning for the Saturday morning for the guest that I'm about to bring on. But I'm really excited about today's chat because what is being created has been created. The Forge, as you see in the title and the thumbnail, I think is a really interesting and creative solution to one of the criticisms that we've been seeing in the Pulse chain ecosystem overall for capital raises, which is the sacrifice model. Um, you know, um, it has a lot of positive aspects to it, a lot of drawbacks, and I think a lot of that conversation has been had in the community. And this is a really creative solution a really creative solution that I've seen that I wanted to share with you guys. So I have, I guess, the founder, the head of the Forge with me here, Marc. You guys may have seen him on a couple other streams, Hexray Vision and DGen Roundtable, but now he's going to come hang out with me. So yeah, sit back, guys, enjoy the conversation. I hope you learned something. And yeah, without further ado, let's bring the man up. What's up, Marc? How's it going?
Hello, Sloth. Going great. I really love your intro. I mean, that's what I've seen so far. That was amazing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a dental student. I think I told you in the background of some of the talks that we have. About last year, I was taking my board exams. So it's a licensing exam. And it was just like, I think the weekend before I was supposed to take it at like midnight when I was supposed to be studying, that was like what I made while procrastinating. When I was supposed to be studying, that's what I made.
Yeah, very well done. I love it. You make some music yourself, or you're
no, the music I just found like copyright free music. Okay, yeah, I can play drums, but like I can't make music like that. I'm not that good.
Nice.
But yeah, dude, thank you so much for coming on, Marc. I really appreciate your time. I know my audience appreciates it as well. So I'm really excited to dive into like the Forge, Crater, the Well, all of these different things that you've built to help facilitate capital raises and to help facilitate projects and dev teams who may not have the social presence to do a capital raise, having an avenue for them to gain some attention, gain some attraction, and have a fair shot at being seen by the community while also raising capital potentially at the same time. So tell us a little bit about what you've built, Marc.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So we started about 2 years ago with Curator, which is the crypto review platform where people can just review any projects. And we launched about a year ago, pretty much exactly. It's a soft launch. We haven't actually fully launched the platform, but we started with a few analysts, and then more and more came until we have more than 60 analysts now. And during that whole year, we really had to. It's a very difficult thing, crypto reviews. I mean, reviews in general, do you even trust restaurant reviews or this or that? Do they pay off people to come in and write good reviews? So obviously with crypto, all of that is on steroids because the projects have so much incentive to bribe people to write good reviews. So we started with a very simple review mechanism where people would have to vote each other in to be analysts. So there's a bit of a wall there. And then once you're in, how do you know what are good reviews? We said, okay, let's focus on the upvotes. If people upvote each other, then that review counts more. And then people get tokens from us, basically, if they get upvoted. But very quickly, that became a problem because people realized, well, if I upvote someone else, I get less money myself, right? Problems start very quickly. And then over every quarter or so, I would say we upgraded and we found better and better mechanisms to figure out what is a good review and what is not. So now people have to stake tokens in order to get what we call super upvotes, which is a limited upvote that you get. You both get rewarded and you also give rewards by giving it out. So you're not losing, money. You are also forced to leave comments when you upvote something, why you're supporting that. When you upvote something, you're also implicated in that. So if the review gets flagged, you might get slashed as well. You get a penalty as well. So I like to compare it to Twitter. If you say you have 100,000 likes on a Twitter post, that doesn't help you trust that information. But on our platform now, even if you have 10 or 20 super votes, you can trust that information more because all these people will lose money if the information turns out to be false or harmful in some kind of way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the backdrop of what we built the last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met Lingo and several other people from Pulse Chain several months back. and they loved what we were doing. And then we looked at exactly what you said in your introduction, this problem with fundraisers on Pulse Chain and sacrifices and everything. And then we discussed how we could use this entire rating mechanism to solve that, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So the Forge is now a subsection of Curator, which is for projects that are raising funds. So it's like the launch pad section
Mm-hmm.
of it. But that was just the first part. We then built
Mm-hmm.
a whole network. The problem with any of this is if you have a centralized component, that component can always very easily become corrupted and be bribed,
Mm-hmm.
right? When it comes to fundraisers. Almost most launch pads have a really bad reputation because it's really just the founders who, get bribed for pushing bad projects, right?
Yeah.
So we needed to make sure it's completely decentralized, and that's why we're not building a launch pad that is owned by someone. We're building a network of entities that all interact with each other. So the first part is the Forge, which it's a bit the center where analysts review projects, right? And that gives people information, should I invest or not? But then we have the Well, which you mentioned, which is a separate entity, and that's done by cryptosloth.info, not us. And that's where the actual funds go. So instead of people sacrificing directly to a wallet, they can now do that into a smart contract, which takes custody of the funds and then only releases them as the project achieves its milestones, right? And then you have the third entity, and that's where the NFTs that we're selling now come in. They basically have control over the previous two entities. They can vote. They can go to the smart contract, and if the project doesn't achieve its milestones, they can vote to say, okay, we're going to freeze and eventually return the funds, right? Or they can go to the Forge, the decentralized review process, and vote to slash and give penalties and eventually expel analysts or investors. So that is an overview of what we now built.
Yeah.
Not the review process is basically completely built. I will show it now on the screen. The smart contract race that will take a few more months to build. And the NFTs, they're completely done. They just have to be minted and eventually airdropped when. So let me quickly jump in the screen. Share.
Yep. If you just click share your screen, then I'll pull it up for you.
Okay, awesome. Screen. Boom.
I'll let you bring it up first.
All right. Okay, let's go here. So this is the Curator platform. This is just general reviews here of any project. But then we can go here to the Spotlight, and this is a kind of a private review area now. This is still Curator, but this will become the Forge. And we've been now running and testing this in a private beta for about half a year, almost 9 months maybe. And we've reviewed about 100 projects through this in collaboration with other launch pads to really optimize it. So what you see here is on the left side, this micro review section. This is where new projects come in, and there's basically the initial filter. And then on the right side here, you see this in-depth review section. So on the left side, when projects come in, you see this 2 out of 5, 1 out of 5. So basically, they need to get 5 reviews, and they need to have a score of more than like 3.5 stars. And when they get that, then they pop into the right side. Down here, you see all the projects that we reviewed in the last 9 months or so. So it's really quite a lot. I'm going to show you now an example project. Let's go here to Belief. This was one of the very first projects that we reviewed with this process. It's It's a healthcare app. So here you see that there's many reviews. So let's say this project came in and it's trying to raise funds. As an investor, you can go and you can see, okay, this has 3.5 stars. Do I like the project? Can go to the links and everything, and then you can read the reviews. And the reviews are many. There's different categories. This is a marketing review, a community review. This is a general micro review. But you see that the one that goes to the top is the one that has the most super upvotes.
Okay.
And generally most votes. And also this rating, therefore, has the heaviest weight for the overall score. Now, what another important thing is here, this review has been edited a lot. So you can always check the version history. And then you see, oh, okay, this guy has edited this review several times. And that's because he came in and then he looked at the project and he had an AMA with the founder. The founder here, if you look at the comments, came in and discussed a lot with the guys and answered questions and stuff like that. So this process over time, and actually this process ended up hiring a couple of people from the analysts, like this guy for their tokenomics and things like that. So this in-depth review process takes a while. It's almost like an incubation process where the project gets a lot of feedback and it can make a lot of changes. And only once the rating is good enough, because they've made good changes and they completed their team, then they will go for the fundraise.
Gotcha.
Now, maybe the last thing I want to say, sorry for the long intro.
No, it's perfect. You make my job easy, man. That's it.
But yeah, so the last thing is the bribes, right? So how do we split the power between different groups so projects cannot bribe people? So if a project would want to bribe to get a high rating, it would have to first bribe lots of analysts. Because as you see, if you go here to the bottom, if they bribe the guy who gets this review has no upvotes, that doesn't help them much, right? So they need to bribe several analysts to give them a good review. And now the super upvotes, that's not done by analysts, that's done by the investors. So if you become an investor on the Launchpad, and this is how most Launchpads work, you'll have to lock up our tokens, the Cure tokens. And the more tokens you lock up, the better deals you get in the projects that come through. So the more tokens you lock up, the more you get these super upvotes. You can see I have 4 remaining now. Every week they replenish, and I can give out these super upvotes. And as an investor, first of all, I get better rates when I invest in projects if I engage in the platform and super upvote the things that I like. But I also have a strong incentive to encourage those analysts who give me the information I need to make good investments, right? So our incentive as investors is to find the best reviews. So now this project would have to also bribe a bunch of investors to come and give it these super upvotes, right? To give it the weight. And it's just hard to do that because, first of all, you need to know who the investors are. And second, the investors, they usually have money and their interest is to find the best analysts, not to get bribed. So let's say you've even done that. You bribed all these guys. And this is where the third group comes in, the NFTs. They can still jump in and look at these reviews and say, hey, come on, you were clearly bribed to promote this project because the project isn't as good as you say. And if they believe that, they can vote, and then all the corrupt analysts and the corrupt investors can get slashed and can get banned from the platform. So the penalty is pretty big. And we have to remember there's 5,555 NFT holders. You have to, find 2,000 of them basically and bribe them to not come slash these analysts. And even if you can do that, then the funds would be raised into the smart contract, and the NFT holders can later still choose to block these funds if the project doesn't deliver on its milestones. So it's really a lot of protections in there to make sure that projects can't bribe these people. So I want to leave it at this for now.
That was good. I like that. That was a really great overview. Let me just kind of recap what I heard just to make sure I have everything straight in my head. Well, actually, first before I do that, is creator or curator, is that being rebranded as the Forge, or will it still have the same branding?
No, Curator will stay Curator. The Forge is like the Launchpad section of Curator.
Gotcha. Okay. So you have like you say the Forge, I would say, is like the big banner overseeing it. You have the social media protocol. I keep wanting to saying creator, but how do you pronounce it again? I'm sorry.
Curator.
Curator. I'm looking. I always have to look at it and I think you have Curator, which is like this social media platform that also has the official Forge under it, which is like an incubator of sorts, where people who want to get exposure to their project in terms of like attention exposure can put up a proposal or like a slide deck or like basically give the overview or white paper of what they're building. And then you have people coming in, commenting on that, rating it with a separate rating system of super votes from people who have demonstrated their financial investment into the ecosystem via staking the Cure token, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So you have that side of it. Then you have the well, which is associated with Hexpulse.
Info.
Hexpulse. Yes. They're the ones who are doing those smart contracts, and that's like an avenue to do a decentralized crowdfunding. Decentralized crowdfunding with the ability to program roadmaps into it. And then if certain milestones aren't met, there's ability to freeze funds, return funds to sacrificers, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have the council, which are the NFT holders, and they're kind of like the 50-foot overview overseers of the whole ecosystem, who have the ability to come in and through a democratic process, basically remove bad actors, promote things that are doing well. If a project isn't meeting expectations, they're the one who has the power to freeze funds or distribute it back to sacrificers, etc. Right? Is that kind of what's going on overall?
Perfect. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Good. Awesome. So
maybe can I throw one more thing in there? So
yes,
it's
please.
It's an open network. So other entities can join. If these smart contracts, another entity can come and say, hey, we have better smart contracts than Cryptosloth.info. And then the analyst will say, well, if you use those contracts, you'll probably get better ratings because that's a safer thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's anyone can come in. We talked to Maddie, who has this time pays me contract. So we're planning that founders can go in there and lock up their founder tokens. So they can't dump them on the market, for example, and then you get better ratings if you use that. We also talked to 9inch to maybe have a direct connection from the contract to the DEX. So the liquidity for DEXs could be sent there directly without the founders ever having custody of it. So it's a very open design that others, and if there's any builders here, contact us. You can plug into this and bring your own services to this network.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let's take a walk through. Like say you're a dev, you have a project and you want to utilize the Forge, the well, and maybe even somehow utilize the council to get exposure for the project that you're creating, or the crypto ecosystem you're trying to create. Just kind of walk us through that process from like step one of idea exposure to capital raise and delivering on the product.
Yeah, so I think in general, on average, that process can go anywhere from, let's say, 2 weeks to 6 months, depending on how well developed your product is. Let's say what I'm quite excited about here is that I think this enables also founders to start a project when they're very early, when it's basically the idea stage, when they don't have a deck and a team and website and everything already. So let's say this person comes and that's a really cool project, some very new token or whatever, a cool technology, right? In our white paper, I give the example of a stable growth token, which is actually a friend of mine who's developing this, which is a coin that just increases, 10% over the dollar every year with cool market making and collateral tools and stuff like that. So they could come and they could write a white paper or an idea and submit that to the Forge, and that's it. And then the first step is you'll have minimum 2 analysts who should review that. Now they don't absolutely have to. This is voluntary. So if there's a lot of projects and you don't present your project well at all, maybe no one will look at it. What you can do at this point is you can put a little bounty, $100, $200, depending on you. And that encourages some analysts to come, look at it, and maybe give you some feedback. And let's say, because the presentation is still very bad, the analysts both give you 1 star, and they say, I don't even understand what this is. I can't read it. Like, what is this? Which is most of the time, this is the case with new projects. But normally when they go to VCs and everything, they don't get any feedback. They just get turned down. So here, at least you'll have these 2 analysts write you, hey, I can't read this. Like, what is this? Like, tell me what it is, And then the guy could maybe come in. There's, as you see in the comment section below the review, so they can have a conversation there. And maybe over time, after a few comments, the analysts actually understand what it is and see, oh, this is actually a really cool idea, right? They might then edit their reviews to make it a bit better, like 2 stars or 3 stars. They maybe write their own opinion. And as it improves, other analysts will come in and say, okay, cool, I'll take a look at that. The person can still, I'm calling him Patrick in the white paper, right? He could still say, you know what, I'll put another $500 for an AMA, and then maybe a bunch of analysts come and they can talk about it a bit. That's usually very good for the project. So long story short, this is all in this left side micro review section. And let's say he eventually, after a month or so, he improves everything, gets to about 3.5 stars with his project. And he then pops into the right side into the incubation mentorship stage. And that's where more analysts come in, and also maybe more senior analysts come in. And then they do category reviews on the tokenomics, on the team, on the technology, many different categories. And this can take quite a while, several weeks, maybe a month or so. And as that happens again, the person takes the feedback. At this point, we also will have a jobs marketplace, so they can hire directly from the analysts, they can hire from the community. So let's say they're growing their team, finding the right people, and they're improving their model. And as they're doing, and they have multiple AMAs in between, and they communicate with the analysts. So over time, their rating improves, their website improves, and their team is fully built. And when they get ready, let's say they get to almost 4-star rating, right? Then they can say, okay, we'll start a fundraise. And they have the plan set out. We're going to use the well. We're going to set these milestones. Those are time-based that you put into the smart contract. We're going to have this limit of what we raise. If we don't reach this, then we won't accept the raise. We're going to put this much liquidity that will go directly into these pools. So they set all of this plan. And then the community is really happy. Their launch raise plan might have a 5-star rating from the analysts, right? And now they raise. And at this point, it shouldn't really be much of a deal anymore. It's almost like all the investors who are locked up in the platform, they start to really trust in this rating and say, well, if it's rated well, I can read all these reviews. I'm trusting these analysts by now. Everyone is super uploading this. Okay, I'm going to get into this. And then they can fund it by sending funds directly to this smart contract, right? And the way it works is the more tokens people have locked up, basically, let's say anyone can still fund that smart contract, right? But if you're not part of the ecosystem, you will get, a 1 multiplier, right? Basically, in sacrifice terms. But if you've locked up tokens, then you might get a 2x or 3x multiplier. This is up to the project to set that, right, in the smart contract. And depending on how much you lock up, you will get, basically we'll have it set up that the top 10 wallets get 10% of the top tier allocation, and the next 30% get a different tier. So basically by locking up more token, you get a bigger size of the 3x or 2x or whatever the project set allocation, right? So these guys now see, okay, this is a great project. I want to get a big allocation. I'm just going to max out my allocation. So they send those funds directly to the smart contract. The smart contract will be informed by us who should get which wallets gets which allocation, right? So that's how we kind of combine both the sacrifice mechanism with our rating mechanism. So now the project should get funded very quickly. It doesn't have to go out and hype and work with tons and tons of people, right? It can focus fully on the quality. It can put all their efforts into the product. and the quality of their product, right? So that is, I think, what will change all of that. And then hopefully, you, Sloth, and other influencers can then present these projects with the peace of mind that they've gone through this entire community vetting process, right? So that should also help to really promote the strong projects that have gone through all of this, taken the community feedback and improved on it, and not projects that are just there bribing everyone and convincing everyone of what they're doing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I do like that how the Forge pretty much acts as an incubator from like the inception of, like, you don't even have to have a line of code written. You could just have the theory of what you want to build and use that social media, basically social media platform to use the brain power of the analysts to continue to sharpen your idea and figure out exactly what your value proposition is, and then use that as a way to document the entire process. So you have this long history of a publicly vetted and documented track record of the whole development process that is accompanied by ratings, which can be improved over time. As I understand, you can edit them. You can just see the whole history of all the reviews, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So I think that's pretty cool that you can use this platform as a way to document the progression of your project, so that you have like full transparency on where it's going, and then basically using that track record that you've built as like just signaling like, hey, I'm serious. I'm honestly trying to build something. Now I'm going to fundraise, and here's the reasons why, documented on the Forge, why this might be investment that is good for you. Something
exactly. Yes. Love the way you put it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I appreciate
exactly that. Yes.
And as far as I understand, no individual person, product dev team has to use the well as their fundraising mechanism. That's only if they just kind of want to tap into the ecosystem's liquidity by giving them incentives or giving them extra stuff via the locking of Cure. So it just kind of motivates them to fundraise from the analyst, donor, council community.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it goes two ways. It's also, if they don't do that, if let's say they do a traditional sacrifice, it's going to be viewed very skeptical by the analysts, right? They're going to be like, well, you can just run away, right? And obviously the super upvoters, the investors, they do have an incentive that so if another smart contract comes along, they should, of course, also accept the same launchpad rules, right, with these incentives for the investors. And if they don't, it's not that we are going to control that, but the investors, they, of course, want some kind of fundraising platform that does have the same rules, because ultimately that's their incentive, that they will get their benefits there. So it does tie in like that. The investors do have the power to say, well, you should use a platform that gives us our benefits.
Yeah, I imagine over time there will be certain like I guess in dentistry, like standard of care, like standard operating procedures, where like, hey, these are the standards that we require to have a 4-star or 5-star review. And that just kind of happens iteratively over time as people vet projects, and we get successful ones that have gone through the whole process. They're like, hey, if you're not doing XYZ, like you're not getting above a 3-star because that's what these other projects have done, and you're just not following, I guess, that model.
Exactly. I mean, that has already, we're very early with this, right? As I said, we've reviewed about 100 projects, but that has started crystallizing already. And I really like the way you put it. This is, so we're running this as a lean startup. I don't know. Do you know the lean startup model? Yeah.
Not intimately, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the idea is you have the corporate approach, and then you have the lean startup approach. And corporates, they take millions of dollars and create a seemingly perfect product, and then they launch it and it fails because it was never tested, And the lean startup, they say, one line, I think it's from the Twitter founder I really liked. He said, if you don't absolutely hate your first launch, you've launched too late. And that's it's pretty cool. So basically you build something that is barely viable, you put it out there, you see what works, and then things evolve. And as you say, these SOPs, these standard operating procedures, they kind of crystallize over time, and that we already see that happening. It's pretty clear, that some tokenomics are just really bad, and if you don't have it like this, just forget about raising and so forth. And we're also thinking of ultimately having a seal that if you have certain basic check marks, almost like an ISO certification, you'll get that seal, and then people know, oh, okay, these things are in place. And having a raise, using a raise platform that escrows your funds based on achieving milestones, that will probably be a check mark required to get that certification.
Super cool. Yeah. I want to move a little bit to the council and the NFTs. One, the artwork's super cool. I like it a lot. I think, tell us a little bit about the artist, because I know they have a cool backstory before we get into the council stuff.
Maybe I'll share my share my screen quickly again. So I showed you before the Minute Video. I told you that I created this YouTube channel called Minute Videos, right? And he was actually an artist there. That's how we met. He was one of the animators.
I noticed when you told me that in the green room, and I looked up like, oh, that art looks a little similar. Like I could see the same themes in there.
Yeah, cool. Exactly. So this is actually, so if people want to get the NFT, they can go to our curator website and then click up here, or come to our Telegram group and get the link from there for the Forge. And then if
all that's in the link in the description box below, by the way, everybody listening, everything's below.
And then the artist, you can check him out down here. He's just amazing, and he's worked with us, and then he left actually during the NFT craze, I would say, in 2017, 18, 19, the NFT craze. I forgot. But
he's 1 in 21 too.
So he got very successful with some NFTs, and he then became quite famous in Thailand, where he's from. Here you see the SkyTrain covered in his art. He had like massive, huge advertisings across the shopping malls and stuff like that. Then he went to live in Berlin for a while. So this is a building wall in Berlin with his art. And then, he did merch for Intel. Many cars and restaurants and everything is covered in his art. He's also one of the top break dancers in Thailand as well. So he's just a super creative guy. And when you look into his art, you can check out his Instagram here. It's just, you can see how extremely detailed you can just lose yourself, when you go into these drawings. There's so much detail everywhere.
I love the aesthetic.
Yeah, and if you meet him in person, you know why. He's very philosophical. Usually there's a lot of philosophical angles about everything that he does. I'll show you quickly one more.
Please.
So this is one of the ones that he didn't create this for us, but we're using it now for our launch campaign.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so this
very psychedelic aesthetic. I love it.
Very psychedelic. He actually said he has never done psychedelics. So I don't know if I believe him, but
I think he's just living on shrooms. I don't think he needs to take anymore.
He's probably there. So super super cool guy. We're hoping to do an AMA with him in the coming weeks. So if you guys want to meet, he actually joined our Telegram stream during the launch and said hi. And hopefully we can do a live stream with him sometime next week if you guys want to come meet him.
I'd love to meet him.
Since we're here on the page, do you want to look through the rules for getting the NFT stuff? Or?
Yeah, we'll go over the rules, and then we'll kind of go over the value proposition a little bit more in depth. How's that sound?
Okay, that sounds awesome. So we launched about 9 hours ago. The rules here are... So the first 100 were at $100 each, and then it kind of goes up by $10 each tranche. So we're now on the third tranche here for $120. People can just send funds directly on Pulse Chain, Ethereum, or BNB in these stable coins to this address. And basically any multiples that you send of the tranche that you're in, you'll get number of NFTs. You can go to cryptosloth.info. They have the tracker. So you will be able to see. sometimes, especially pulse chain transactions, can lag a little bit until they show up. But you can basically find your transaction, and then you can click on the info. You will see how many, you should see somewhere, how many NFTs you are.
I think it was on the other screen. You can see it.
It's here, actually, 25
Yep.
NFTs. If there's any amount too much, you will see there's a lottery credit. So we will, if there's people sending too much because we have a capped sale, there will be some NFTs that are not assigned, and those will go into a lottery. And every dollar basically that you have that is over will give you one lottery ticket to get these additional NFTs.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I think that's super cool. So tell us, I asked this question in the green room, but tell us why you decided to do your NFT launch via like a sacrifice model versus a normal like NFT mint, for example, and you just change the price as so many sell out.
Yeah, so I mean, originally we were planning a sacrifice, but there was a lot of reasons ultimately that we decided against it. A big reason is that just the community really doesn't like the term, and we really wanted to focus on what we're building and not so much the politics or semantics of the race. And people really loved the NFTs. We got such great feedback, so we actually completely changed how the website looks and everything, and now we're getting great feedback and a lot of people jumping on board. So that was one of the main reasons. We didn't want to do a traditional mint. It's quite limiting in various ways. First of all, many people don't like connecting to an app with their wallet. There's a lot of security concerns. It's then only limited to Pulse chain, and lots of people, actually now we're getting lots of transactions from other chains as well, right? And the third reason is that, of course, we want to have this increasing price to encourage people, to give the earlier people a better chance, because usually the earlier guys are the smaller guys, right? The big whales, they come in later when they see something works. And this is important for decentralization for us, the more smaller people that we have. One of the important things about NFTs is that their voting weight will increase the longer you hold it. So even if in the future a huge whale comes in and drops a couple $1 million to buy up many NFTs, they still won't be able to overpower the voters who have kept their NFT for a long time, because when they buy the NFTs, the voting weight resets to 1. Gotcha. Basically.
Every sale it resets. Every sale, secondary sale.
Okay. Yes, exactly. Every secondary sale. Every time it changes the wallet, it will reset.
Oh wow. Okay, so you got to keep it in the same wallet. Okay, good. That's good.
Yes. Yes, if you keep it in the same wallet, your voting weight will increase. And this is really, it's not a monetary benefit you get from that, but it's you get increased power. So it's really rewarding the people who believe in what we're doing, and believe in the monetary value you get is in the maybe I don't want to call it monetary value, but you are going to get some tokens from all the projects that come through the platform, right? So that should give you some reward. But yeah, so holding the NFT long term is really a strong, how you call it, a strong decentralizing factor of what we're building, and it's very important.
That makes sense. And so when you have one of these NFTs, that is, quote unquote, your seat at the council, basically.
Exactly. Yes, this is your seat at the council. You will also get Cure tokens airdropped to you for a year, every month, basically. And this will allow you to also engage in the platform. So you can lock them up to be an analyst. And then as an analyst, you can also, again, through writing good reviews, you can earn rewards from the projects that come through the platform. And you can also lock them up to then become an investor on the platform. The more you get, the bigger your allocations in the projects that come through. One thing I didn't mention before is, so the projects, when they come in, they can offer percentage of their tokens to the platform, maybe 0.5% or 5% or 20%, it's really up to them. And that should encourage the community to come in and rate and review and get engaged with the platform. So the NFT holders will get a share of all these tokens that come through the platform.
That makes sense. So when you're sending money to the address, whatever chain you're sending it on, you're going to get both drop Cure tokens as well as an NFT based on, on the rate at the time at which you sent the funds.
Yes, so you will just get the NFT, and then when you're holding the NFT, we will send Cure token airdrops to the NFT.
Gotcha.
So if you sell the NFT, after a couple months or something like that, then the new wallet will get those tokens.
Gotcha. Okay.
They're like packaged inside.
Yeah. Oh no, that's really cool. It's kind of like the Pulse OGs. I don't know if you've heard of like the 9mm ecosystem, but they have a similar model where you mint the NFTs and then every month you get a airdrop of a percentage of the supply.
Actually, Mandingo, who's part of the Hex Pulse team and has been designing this entire thing with us, he was part of the 9mm campaign and he was working with them. So maybe a lot of ideas.
He's all over. I see him all over the place. On
yeah. He says he's one of the most active. I mean, he loves the Pulse chain community for many different. I think he loves both the best things about it, and he also loves the worst things about it. He's
there's a lot you can say about the Pulse chain community. We have character, to put it nicely.
Yes.
But yeah, so tell us a little bit about the council leadership, because this is like a different, section of the council.
Yeah, so they're basically 20% of all the NFTs we will give away to council leaders. Hopefully we can give some to you as well. We want to give. If we wouldn't do that, someone could come in, drop a lot of money and buy all the NFTs and basically break the system, right? So we wanted to get, this is like the, the Supreme Court, basically, like 20% of the people will give the NFTs to people that we trust. And the community trusts, right? And they can make these decisions who should be, you cannot make the decision single-handedly, but you have a pretty strong say in who are the analysts, which projects will get their funds frozen if they misbehave and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically what it is. Instead of having everything just sold and financial incentives, we want to give some people kind of the early kind of initial say.
Great. And I believe I'm already on the website for that as one of the leaders. I think I'm next to Hexray Vision, right?
Exactly. You are a leader now. So
that's very nice. I don't know if you know this, but his stream was the first stream I ever went up on. It was the first time I ever came on stream, like as CryptoSloth.
Awesome. Yeah, he's I love him. He's amazing. He's so calm and smart and easy to be around. So yeah, I love his show. I'm so happy that he loves it. He said when we first talked about it, he said that him and his buddies, they were thinking about the launch pad, starting to design it. And there's some other initiatives going around. But of course, he then really liked what we're doing. And now he's on board. We're going to, many of the projects that come through will go on his show. We'll take them apart together. He's very active in basically designing this together. And we invite you and everyone else, wants to come on board to be involved as well.
Hop on a stream. Yeah, that's great. I love hopping on this show whenever I can. And if I can help out, whatever I need to do, I'm happy to help out. What was I going to say? To be an analyst, all you really have to do is stake the Cure token, right? Like that's like how you get that label.
Yeah, so you will probably also have to stake some or have staked some Hex tokens because... so again, we have this kind of dichotomy of we have curator for the regular reviews, and then we have the forge, which is really the Pulse chain forge for now. We're not really focusing or thinking about the other ecosystems, at least not yet. We're just we're doing this now first on Pulse chain. We want to make this work, but we have analysts. Most people know that Pulse chain has a funny reputation outside of Pulse chain, right, in the crypto industry. So there's some analysts on our platform that are not Pulse chain analysts, and that have a not favorable review of the ecosystem. And if they would be coming in and reviewing projects that come to Pulse chain, it's like they have the wrong incentives. They don't really care about the ecosystem. And I think you need to care about your ecosystem. You don't just want the projects to do well, you want the whole chain to do well, and everything that it's like a village, right?
Yeah.
An ecosystem is like a village. So you need to show that you are part of this ecosystem, that you have an interest in it. So that's where the idea of having locked some hacks as well. But most people in the blockchain ecosystem have.
Already have
right?
that, yeah.
So
that's staked hex via the contract, not like through your platform, right? That's like you have
exactly.
T-shares. Okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
exactly.
Just clarifying.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to stake some Cure tokens and probably have some Hex tokens to be an analyst on the Forge, which is a Pulse Chain centric incubator / social media review platform.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, gotcha. So that's pretty much open to anybody. Like there's no it's completely open to anybody who's able to purchase the Cure tokens, got them through the NFTs, however it might be, and somebody who's put a little bit of skin in the game in Hex as well.
Exactly. So any decentralized system, the more open you can be, the better, right? So coming in is easy, but also if you misbehave, you can be kicked out.
Anybody can come in, but you have to build a reputation of making good posts,
yes.
being judicious with your super upvotes, all of that stuff. So that makes a lot of sense, and I think
exactly. We don't have it yet, but there will be an analyst ladder, basically, where you get experience points and things like that. So eventually you will get. We have something, but not fully fleshed out yet.
That makes sense. Okay. So anybody can be a analyst if you come in with those criteria. NFT holders get monthly Cure tokens as well as some airdrops from the protocols that fundraise through the well, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Cure will only be airdrop for a year. And then the others will just, as long as that should go forever, right? That's just as long as you hold these NFTs.
Now, I was reading the history, vision, and mission part of the white paper, and you actually have an interesting, I guess, connection to Pulse Chain in that you were building all this without being aware of Pulse Chain or being part of it, right?
Yes.
And so, how much of this was built? First question: how much of this was built before you were aware of Pulse Chain? And why were you building it before?
It came about very naturally. So we just started. Actually, I told you again, I was in this YouTube thing, and I always had an interest in decentralization and cryptos in 2013, maybe. So I was always into it. And then a few years ago, we started. My company got hired to create these animations to explain. There's this company called CoinWeb. We worked with them. They're cross-chain layer 2, very exciting, very crazy technology. So we made videos to explain how that works. Also for some other protocols. We also did some videos for Polkadot. And I really got a crash course in how, really the fundamental technology works, working with these guys for a year. And then my developer, my partner who's been working with me for 10 years, we looked, we got this close-up view of crypto and all these problems that were there, with all these scams and bad projects and stuff like that. So we figured that, a rating platform would really work. We already had some prototypes and stuff like that. And then we created that. And as I said, a year ago, we soft launched that. And then it just kind of grew, and people came and started reviewing and exchanging projects, and people found great projects by working together. So we didn't think about launch pads until then, but half a year later, the projects naturally came to us and said, hey, I get all this feedback, great, like give me more, and then they started using it. And the first guys who came were several launch pads. They're like, this naturally fits with what we're doing. So then the second half year of 2023, we started just giving them what they want, basically. So the first thing was, hey, we want these reviews to be private first, because we're going to get shitty reviews. We don't want them to be public, And that's what naturally developed this incubation section. So one quirk, for example, is that, so we made it private. And we said, okay, you'll get 5 initial micro reviews. So just give you some initial feedback. But to make sure that these analysts don't get biased from each other's reviews, the reviews will be blind. So the first 5 reviews, only the analysts see their own. They don't see the others. And when
That's the
5
micro
are written,
reviews, right?
the micro reviews, they're blind micro reviews. And when all 5 are written, boop, they become live. And then everybody sees how everybody else evaluated this project.
That's
And
pretty cool.
it's really cool.
like
It's
that.
so
Yeah.
fun, And then for the project, it's very powerful because they see, oh, wow, 5 people say this sucks, then they can take it more, otherwise they sometimes don't take it so well. So this helped a lot. So we were building this quite a bit, but of course it was a side thing beside building the curator platform, right? And then a couple of months later, basically, I met Mandingo and we talked about Pulse Chain, and he showed me all this like really cool stuff about the Pulse Chain community that I think outsiders don't really know. And as you say, he's so active. He knows so much about the community. And then he invited me to meet so many other people. Proof of No Work is awesome. Jay from cryptosloth.info is awesome. And I met Max. They're also cool, and very, very, I believe like there's a lot of people really believe in crypto, and kind of, decentralization and kind of, anti-government a little bit. There's this real true crypto beliefs here, I think. So that, and that resonates a lot with me. So yeah, I really liked what I saw, and he really liked the product basically. And then we then figured out how we can best use it to basically minimize the worst parts of the Pulse Chain ecosystem and elevate the best parts of it. And Mandingo feels quite strongly that if we can do this properly, it will also build a very strong bridge into Pulse Chain, because currently it's a very fenced kind of village, right? That outsiders have no idea what's going on inside.
It's its own little side community, side ecosystem that's kind of disconnected from like the greater crypto sphere, for sure.
Exactly. So his interest was really that he believes this will create a strong bridge where people see, okay, quality project. I believe that it will attract a huge amount of very good projects to come, because I say this a lot, but I've met this founder, the head of AWS Web3 fund, right? And he said that there's over 1 million active crypto startups in the world right now. We're not talking about 500 or 10,000, 1 million. It's crazy. I met this other at the same conference. I met this other lady, and she was working with this biggest global startup founder group. I forgot what they're called. And they have 4 million startups, active startups in there. And she said 25% of it is crypto. So she had
1 million.
So she had the same number. Insane, And all of these guys, they go to these crypto events all the time. They're going, everyone's looking for funding and for support and feedback. And none of them is getting it, because you go to VCs, to 100, to 200, to 300, you never get any feedback. And, 1 out of 100 gets actual funding, so it's a very tough life for them. And especially for those who have a great product, but are not very good at networking and hyping their technology and stuff like that, right? So if we give them Pulse Chain and the Forge together has everything that they want, Pulse Chain the community has funded projects with crazy amounts, so there's a lot of funding available here, right? Then the community is super active. It's one of the most active communities, and that's the other thing that people need. They don't just need money, they need first users to come use their platform and be active and be there promoting. So they need those two things. What Pulse Chain is lacking is a place where they can basically apply for that, Other ecosystems, they have grants, programs, and launch pads and all of this. And here's basically nothing. You just have to come and
find your way to get attention somehow in the craziness and the chaos of Pulse Chain.
And then basically influencers have to take over that job. And of course, influencers cannot do the due diligence properly and be influencers at the same time and everything. So you have this really bad kind of alignment of things where people just kind of promote the thing that they like a little, or they like the person or whatever, but the project doesn't make sense. So connecting that with the Forge, where now projects can have a one-click button thing to apply. They get the support from the community, they get vetted, and then they can get the funding and the community. It's a dream come true. It's something that doesn't exist anywhere else in crypto, or even in the non-crypto startup world. It's difficult to find something similar.
Yeah.
I personally know several founders who are waiting in line right now to sign up their project and get started. And they never really heard of Pulse Chain before. They're just like, well, if you offer this, of course I'm going to come there.
Okay.
I mean, this is everything that I need. So
awesome.
we just got really, really excited about it. All our networks, we have many founders who want to get started right away. That's how it all came together.
Yeah. I like that you've identified the opportunity for builders in Pulse Chain, because one thing that I always say is like Pulse Chain is our sandbox. So like it was obviously evolved from like the Hex community, but that was over just on Ethereum before. There was some like gatekeeping in terms of like metrics, being already a sequestered community in of itself, and then pair that with high gas fees, like the ability for the creativeness of the diversity and creativeness of the community couldn't really flourish on Ethereum. What Pulse Chain gave us is the sandbox for us to be able to create the things that we like in a cheap and efficient way on a blockchain. Yeah. And so you have this group of crypto enthusiasts, and really DeFi enthusiasts, I think even more specifically, who are very crypto and DeFi literate. Like the education level in the Pulse Chain community, I would say, is pretty high. And now they have a low cost EVM chain to be able to build on top of. And so this is, even if someone isn't initially in the Pulse Chain ecosystem from like the Ethereum Hex days before it launched, it's the perfect kind of place to come over, because you have all the tech of EVM, with the potential of future Ethereum upgrades coming in. I mean, ERC 404 is just launched, and we immediately had two of the prominent devs, Dipcatcher and Deva, create 404 contracts immediately. So all of that innovation on Ethereum can come over to Pulse Chain. You have the audience of DeFi literate people. You have the tech, the audience of DeFi literate people and crypto literate people, and you have a high engagement where overall the people in Pulse Chain are engaging with protocols, they're engaging on social media, and they're around to just find cool things and learn more and help those that they believe have a good vision and are honest builders. And so from somebody who doesn't even see Pulse Chain as like an investment vehicle, it does have a ton of boxes ticked off for somebody who wants to develop a successful crypto project. And you're basically facilitating that.
No, exactly. I think it's going to be awesome. And I don't know if you know it's called the emergency theory. Not like an emergency, like emergence.
Emergence, yeah. Okay, emergence,
yeah. And it's this belief, it's this theory that that life kind of just complexity emerges out of simplicity, right? If things come together. So first there was no life, and then rocks and water and stuff formed, and then life, and now intelligence and this stuff kind of forms. And I love this theory in general. I mean, whether I believe it or not, something else, but I really love it. And I think that's what's happening here a little bit with Pulse Chain, right? Nothing was planned, As you said, it first was Hex, and then, oh shit, we need our own chain. Okay, now it's our own chain, but no one really planned to build anything, and now suddenly everyone is like building on it. And then of course you have these problems, and then you have this opportunity. And I think this can, first, it's a very, as you say, DeFi literate and DeFi kind of focused chain, but maybe that will change now, because there are these kind of cool complexities that arisen out of this origin. And I can see, I mean, that many of the people we're talking to, they're not thinking about DeFi, they're doing, web platforms, all of these kind of things. They want to tokenize their businesses and all these kind of things. So it could really lead to a very diverse type of businesses and protocols and everything coming to the chain.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just great for the network overall. The more stuff that's happening, the more valuable it is, which is great.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's exciting. So tell us a little bit, you're having the NFT launch, so anybody right now can buy into the council if they so choose to do. And then once that's over, I believe, if I remember correctly, the NFTs will be airdrop a week after, correct?
Yes, exactly. Yes. We don't have to sell them out. as soon as we raise, already now we're building the platform, right? Hopefully very soon we'll launch it in a couple of months, kind of things. I don't want to give exact time dates, but you've seen the platform, it's there, right?
Yeah.
There's really just few. We need a sign up page and things like that. So we want to launch that as soon as possible. So we don't have to sell it out completely. We can continue selling as everything is already live, but that is the plan right now.
Perfect. And then you said the well is still a couple months out, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, a couple months out. Okay. And what's the timeline for the cure drip for the NFT holders? Immediately once you get the NFTs, or will there be a timeline on that?
No, because that basically has to coincide with TGE of the token, of the cure token. So you'll get the NFT immediately. We're hoping again another couple months or so. We will also go on launch pads after the NFT raise. So yeah, I would say within maybe 2-3 kind of months. I really don't want to give exact dates here.
That's all right. I'm just curious myself.
Everything is so close, and we've built everything now, for a year. We've actually been building for almost 2 years, but we've been in a live beta since a year. We have projects come through, so we're all itching to launch. But when you do things like TGE, you need to really plan a lot of things to make sure it goes well. So we're very close. Also, we're in a very good market environment now. Everything is going up. We want to use that drive. We do have. We're working together with Wow Summit. I don't know if I mentioned it already. It's this. So it's one of these crypto summits. It does really well. It's a newer one. They have an event in Hong Kong, and there's going to be, we're reviewing a lot of projects for them that will go into their startup competition. So there's many projects coming in that we would love to bring through the Forge already, hopefully bring some of them to Pulse Chain. So there's lots of stuff coming together, and I'm hoping this is all within the next couple of months happening. But of course, it depends on how well and how quick the fund. Whenever you're raising funds or you're having a sales campaign, so much focus goes into that. So basically, we need to, get ahead quickly with our sale. The faster we can do that, then we can launch the Forge and TG and everything pretty quickly.
Gotcha. Awesome. That's really exciting, man. I'm the more and more I've read about it, the more the pieces are coming together, and I see how this fits into the Pulse Chain ecosystem pretty well. Like as a comprehensive from conception to launch, and even after launch, like as the roadmap develops, even too. That's really exciting.
Thanks a lot.
Let me think. Of course. Let me think. There's something else I wanted to ask you as well. Well, how about you just tell us a little bit about your kind of professional background and kind of what you've done before you started to venture into crypto. I know you mentioned you had a really successful YouTube channel before, and you were running those. So yeah, tell us a little bit about like your professional background.
So basically, let's go. I mean, I'm 40 now. I don't know how far back I have to go, but
however far you want, man.
It gets very I studied economics, so I have an economics.
Oh, super cool.
I'm quite passionate. I studied economics of development at the London School of Economics. So I'm quite passionate about development, and improving things, and making the world a better place. I like to do that, So it really gets interesting in 2013, which is when we founded this company called Minute Videos. My co-founder, who still also co-founded Curator with me, the developer, he was part of that team. And that time YouTube was coming up, especially educational content. We were kind of building a mental health platform, but decided we need a lot of educational content and videos. So we wanted to make videos for that platform. And at the time, animated YouTube videos are very expensive. Like you're talking about $10,000-$20,000 for a 2-3 minute animation, and we're like, this is crazy. So we developed this decentralized kind of animation platform.
I'm just trying to refocus. Ignore me. There we go. I got it. Yeah, ignore me. I was just refocusing.
That's good. So we created this platform where basically animators could come together and artists, and and on our platform collaboratively create these animations, and we drop the prices for it like 10x kind of thing. And we had any companies could come and order videos on there, and went through this process. But about 2-3 years later, we started just for fun to produce some content, again, mental health content for social media. And then that started taking off. I was based in Bangkok, in Thailand at the time. We produced this content in Thai, and it went viral in Thai. But because it was animated, we could translate it into any other language. So we translated to English, and then it started going. I mean, when you say viral, we had 20, 30,000 subscribers and something like that. You wouldn't make money off of it yet. So it was going on a little bit. But then we changed the format from kind of explainer type to stories, where we followed, this guy became depressed and he did this and did that, and this is what he learned. And people started watching it a lot more. We were really growing a lot faster. And then what happened was crazy. They started sending us their own personal stories. They just saw the stories like, oh, I'm going to tell you my story. They sent us by email and by any kind of which way. And we're like, oh, this is crazy, because some stories are unbelievable,
Oh, I bet.
And they send them anonymously to us. So it became too much. So we created a platform which looks very similar to Curator today, where people could submit their stories, and we had this feed, and people could rate and review the stories, and then the best ones we would create into new videos that most of them really just educate people, because when people have a hard experience, they want other people to learn from it. They want to share it. So it kind of snowballed, and we got 40,000 stories submitted to us from people all around the world, and we animated these, and we've gotten channels in 12 different languages, and we got to 8 million subscribers in total on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere. Yeah, so it went really, really big until maybe 2019, 20. So we had about 30 in-house staff, maybe 25 in-house staff, about 100 freelancers connected to this platform. We were producing a video a day. We had 100 videos simultaneously being produced, so a real machine. And these videos are crazy. Like every detail is being drawn. I mean, you guys can check it out. It's minute videos. It's very detailed. A lot of people, 10, 15 people collaborating on every single video. So it was amazing, and it was very fulfilling, because every story was teaching, something. But I told you a little bit before that the problem that the YouTube algorithm is very harmful. I would say it forces you to make everything more extreme. It really produces fake news, because people are incentivized to make stuff up so they can get more views, And when you work with this really meaningful content, it's very difficult to do that. And that was the first problem.
I can imagine it being very discouraging.
It's very discouraging. When you I don't want to talk about it. I mean, some of these stories are really, really, tear-jerking. And what you have, 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds that experience very harsh things, and they talk about it when they're 12, 13, 14, trying to help others who are in the same situation. And then if you have to make that content more extreme, it's gut-wrenching, you cannot do it,
It's like someone's life that they trusted with you and stuff,
Yes, and also everyone who's watching it it can be life-changing for them, So it's really we were almost forced to do it, and then after a while we're like, we don't want to do that anymore, And on top of that, the censorship started coming in very heavily, where in 2016, when it started going well, there was basically no censorship on YouTube. And then because all these all these sensationalist content and all these clickbaity stuff came out, so all these advertisers start pulling out, and YouTube was saying, no, come back, we'll give you all these tools to say, where you can advertise and not, and blah, blah, blah. And over time, that just meant that if you had any sensitive word in there, and we had a lot of sensitive words, depression and anorexia and bullying and all these words were in there. They're very positive stories, but you're dealing with difficult concepts.
These triggering words that could be controversial.
Exactly. So over time, it's just really squeezed the traffic and the revenues, and they force you to create really sensational content, and it was so bad, that we were like, we just don't want to do it. We don't want to start creating shitty content just to make money, and go away from content that actually benefits people. And our solution, that's actually when we started looking much more into crypto. So we were wondering, well, how can we change this, right? And we created these prototypes for kind of new YouTube and new social media, where it's not the algorithm that decides what gets watched, it's the people that rate and review the content, right? And we were building these prototypes mostly for movies and content. And then as we were kind of working for these other companies to explain crypto technology, we're like, it's the same problem here, you have a lot of content, you have a lot of crypto that you don't know what is good, and you could use people, the human resource, basically, all these guys who do the research anyways, if they can use these same tools that we've developed to basically give feedback and rate and review crypto projects, then that could solve the problem. So we're like, okay, let's adapt some of these models that we've built for crypto, and we had to curator. The name actually originally was for a video curation platform, and we're like, it's a pretty okay domain, it's a .com. Let's run with it. It has kind of crypto curator kind of in there, and then we launched it just as a back project, basically, while we're working with these other guys. But more and more analysts came on board, and we found some projects that just really mooned. A recent one is Caspa. I don't know if you know about it.
Yeah, you guys had a couple really successful reviews ahead of time before major price action.
Yeah, exactly. So Caspa was over a year ago. That's, man, it's like 40x down from now or something. So and that's just one example of quite a few where we saw the power when it was still very small. We only had like 15 analysts on there, and maybe 5 active ones or so. But if people just came and shared the projects, because they're all crypto experts and let's say junkies, they know everything that's going on.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah, junkies is the right word.
Yeah. So if you share this information, then people are aware of what's going on. And we also helped each other, because we had Dan is one of our team members now. He started as an analyst. But he gets excited about every project out there. He's in hundreds of startups, in launchpad projects. And he's like, oh, this is great. This is great. This is great. The thing is, 1 out of 10 that he brings in is great, and he needs us to calm him down on the other 9, right? But the one that is actually great benefits everyone else, So it's this really great dynamic. So this is how it came. I started to create, kind of grow a very strong belief in the platform because of that happening. Whereas before, when I invested in crypto, I basically just always lost my money, It was really like that. And then now, everything that I got actually did really well. And I think it's because I learned about projects that I would have never learned before, because there's so many people sharing information. I learned so much more about I just learned about crypto from the other analysts. Even if I didn't want to invest or buy a coin, I would learn from that review, from this guy saying, oh, this is good, this is bad, blah, blah, blah. For example, now I know that fair launches are really good. They did really well, most of them that we looked into it, and all these other things, right? So the belief in it really grew. And then over time, that's when it kind of went to the Forge idea. These launch pads came in, new projects came in and saw the value in it. And then the belief in that grew a lot when I saw how new projects came in and how they used the feedback to improve themselves, and how we attracted really good projects. So all of it's a lot of, there's lots of tiny things that constantly have to be fixed, and it's a really difficult road. But I think we built a very, very strong product over time, where we have lots of success stories together. And it's just my belief in this kind of collaboration keeps growing, and that's very exciting.
Well, it really sounds like the Forge is kind of like an amalgamation of both your experience in econ as well as your experience in social media, and you've kind of combined both of those things together to create this cool incubator for Pulse Chain.
Yes, So I kind of, I'm not a traditional entrepreneur, I would say, because I'm what they call a social entrepreneur. That doesn't mean I'm a socialist. It means, it means for me, kind of purpose comes first. You know, you want to. I believe businesses should be here to provide value to the society and to the consumers. And not just to make money for themselves with shitty products.
Like
so
a conscious
I was
capitalist kind of idea.
sorry.
It's like a conscious capitalism
Yeah,
kind of idea.
exactly. Conscious capitalism. So I so everything we did was always very purpose oriented. We didn't traditional startups. They often come and say, here there's something. There's a what they call it, not a lack, but there's something missing in the market. I forgot the official term, right? And then they say, okay, let's produce this product and fill that thing, and then we make money off of it.
It's
That's
like
never
product
really.
market fit.
Yeah, exactly. There's a yes, exactly. For us, it was always like we want to help people, in this or that kind of way, and it really started with this kind of mental health content. But then the product was always just in service of achieving that goal, right? Of people helping each other, and that's why it all ties together. It's we never, even though the business changed because of these challenges, the fundamental idea is still the same, and we're still following, and it's still a lot of the team is still together, and we're all following that same. We want to allow people to. We want to build a decentralized network where people can help each other improve their lives. And it was before like that. We didn't create the mental health content that would educate people. We allowed people to share their stories and help each other, right? And that slowly now is moving into crypto.
Yeah, I think that's a great first principles ethos for an entire Launchpad ecosystem. It's like, hey, we want to promote the things that are going to help everybody and that are going to promote well-being and be a good financial vehicle, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I like it. Okay, last question. How have you implemented some of your experience with like the YouTube channel, like working algorithms, going viral, getting attention online? How have you used some of those skills that you developed in the Forge and in Curator to get organic attention and organic eyeballs?
Okay, let me actually quickly share a screen here again.
I love when I ask a question and someone's like, all right, let me share my screen. I love
it. So this is very early still, but this looks very similar to how our YouTube channel looked just before we started taking off. Because on YouTube, I was obsessed with, the analytics and having to look at the, here you go, it's coming up, one sec. Okay, so this is our organic traffic to Curator from Google search.
Wow.
So you can see here, we started about here. This is January 2023. And then for a long time here, for the first 6 months or so, nothing really happened, right? And then suddenly we saw, there's some views coming from some projects, right? And then we optimized the platform for SEO. Right. And then since about 8 months or so, we've been growing at 50% a month. Right.
Wow.
So this is very, very similar. So on YouTube, we had kind of similar to here, we had this kind of little views a day, a few hundred, maybe a few thousand, which in crypto maybe is a lot. But if you talk about general stories, that's very little,
Yeah.
And then we analyzed, and we saw, the content that really pops is the stories and not the explainer videos, because people would watch them 5 times longer. So you have 5 times more the retention when you tell a story. And then the jump really came when we realized, if we change the title a few times and we find something that people really click on, it would go like parabolic, basically. The example was we had a story about, it was a philosopher who wrote it. It wasn't a true story, but basically a person dying and going into the afterlife, learning a bunch of stuff and coming back. And people watched it very long, but we only had a few thousand views. And even half a year later, there was only like 100 views a day, kind of. But I believed in that video. So I went and I changed the title every day for about 10 days. And then suddenly one day, these 100 views a day went to 200 views a day. And I'm like, oh, wow, must be a much better title. People click on it a lot more. And the thing is, then I didn't touch it anymore. And the views doubled every day until a week later, we had 1 million views a day. It went from 100 to 1 million views a day. And that video got over 10 million views. It's called, the title was Why You Shouldn't Fear Death. And people, we had a 20% click-through rate. Like everyone who saw that video thumbnail clicked on it and then watched it, right? So a lot of these lessons are just analyzing the algorithms, analyzing the content, understanding what people like, what they don't like, and then working on that and trying to have the algorithms then promote it. So this is what's happening here now. The really exciting thing is that our average retention of people who come from a Google search is 3.5 minutes on our platform. So normally on a website, people will jump off after 5 seconds. Like even a 10-second retention is like a normal retention for most websites. On ours, it's 3.5 minutes for every click. And that's why we're getting this very steady growth from Google, because they think, oh, this is content that people really value when they are researching projects, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is coming in very handy, and I learned a lot about the algorithm or generally how algorithms work, and that's why that's a little bit the focus also now in how we want to grow here.
That's amazing. No, yeah, dude, that's awesome. It really sounds like you guys are building a good foundation to like show the algorithms that you're like a trusted source that people go to and engage in consistently. And I'm not like super knowledgeable about like algorithms and like social media stuff, but what I do know is that they really aim to push the things that get retention. Obviously, the things that when people click on it, they stay around, and then they rank it basically over a period of time. So it's like not just that you can have retention for today, a week, a month, but like if you build that track record, that increases the probability of your thing getting pushed because you have this whole history of consistent content production and engagement. So it sounds, from what the data you showed me and kind of your understanding, it sounds like you guys are setting a good foundation for like even more future exponential growth, both as crypto grows as a whole, but even more acutely as Pulse Chain, the ecosystem learns about you guys and starts engaging with the platform.
Yeah, and as soon as our campaign now ends, we're going to focus on getting a lot more analysts on board as well. So the more content we create, the more reviews we have, the more high quality. Of course, it's a mass approach. We want to have many people writing reviews, and then we want through the super upvotes to have the best ones come to the top. And those are the ones that will attract a lot of readers. So the more mass that we have, the more content there is to go into Google and other search engines and drag a lot of. Actually, you can go right now, you can search for Cardano tokenomics, and then we're the #1 result. You can go.
I was about to say, you guys are basically going to become the Quora of crypto. When people ask a question about a crypto, that's the thing that pops up, and then you show a review with a whole comment section, basically, of people talking about it. So you go in there, you learn about the thing, like a newbie, a no coiner. It's like, hey, what is the current name? Like, what's Dogecoin? like that's what they're looking up. And then Curator or the Forge is the first thing that pops up, and then you get this whole long thing you get to engage with to learn about Dogecoin in this
exactly.
I really see. I see how your guys' social media is very SEO and search friendly for like Google searching and organic attention, organic growth, I guess is what you say. Not just going like tweeting or going on channels and stuff, but like brand new people who have no exposure are getting their eyeballs on it because of the way you've optimized the algorithms.
Exactly.
SEO. Yeah.
So all this growth now has been 100% organic. So as soon as we actually start pushing a little bit with paid marketing and stuff as well, I think we can pump a lot.
No, I think that's great. And most of our discussion here today hasn't even been around like token price speculation or like where are the like buy pressure comes from. Why would people buy it? Why would people sell it and like analyze it via that way? It's more like we're in it for the tech conversation where we're just kind of talking about the solution. And I think it's awesome. The more and more, like I said before, the more I looked into it, the more I guess excited I've gotten about it. And even throughout this conversation, I'm like, oh, that's really cool because I had to think about it the way you explained it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we've been going for an hour and a half, Mark. I think we did a pretty good job. What do you think?
I think so too. Yeah, it was amazing to talk to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to talk to you. A pleasure to meet you. Thank you, of course, for your time. Thank you for your efforts to build on Pulse Chain. I really appreciate that. I know many people in my audience appreciate that as well. I'm excited to work with you guys. Being part of the council leadership, I'll probably be an analyst myself because I think that's a great way for me to find things to look for and sharpen my review skills as well. So I'm excited for that. Personally, and I can really see even how I could use that as an influencer to get more attention. Where it's like, hey, look at this like track record of reviews that I have to show that like I know what I'm talking about in crypto, for example. Like the first thing that comes to mind. So yeah, I'm really excited. Any final words from you, man?
Yeah, not really. Actually, I'm not sure what's going on. The Degen Roundtable guys, Nate and Josh and so forth, they said they're going to host the FN Hangout. So we were planning to hop over there right now, right after. So maybe invite your audience to come over. But he said that actually now our RG3 was back, so maybe they're not hosting it anymore. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. So I'm gonna go check out what's going on there and see if we maybe go on, talk to them or not. Yeah. But originally, I think it was meant that anyone can hop in and talk.
Yeah.
So I'll be checking it out. Let's see if we go over there.
Yeah, I posted the link to the not Degen Roundtable, but the Friday Night Hangout with RG3, FN Hangout. So you guys go over there and tell them that I sent you guys. Tell them that I sent you. But yeah, Mark, thank you so much, man. I'm excited to talk with you more and follow your progress for the Forge.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a great.
Of course.
Well, good night, actually, right?
Yeah, good night for me. Yeah, it's a little bit late for me. All the descriptions, everybody listening, all the links where you can find Mark, the Forge, all in the description below. You obviously know where I am. Please make sure you hit the like button. Please make sure you hit the subscribe if you haven't. Peace out.